the places you live, things you've seen, things you've done, the people you've hung out with, they will haunt you. They will haunt you in your sleep for the rest of your life. Now this is deep thought, man. I just spent probably the last 2 hours dreaming of a place, a fictional place. But man, having been in the music business all those years, right? And look, man, when you're struggling to make it, when you don't have enough money to afford to live somewhere nice, you inevitably become comfortable with substandard, right? A place that's not particularly nice to live, a place that's not particularly safe to live, a place that you can afford to exist in the lifestyle that you are used to. That's what being a musician is. Now, there are many, let's just say there are many that can relate, right? If you've ever lived in a dump because you're a musician, let me know in the comments. But there are a few that never had to live in a dump. Maybe they came from money. Maybe their parents were already in the business and successful. They didn't have to go through what we had to go through. You know, I almost feel like that initial dump that I lived in California, in Hollywood, Sycamore, Lanai on Sycamore Street. That I think, you know, my mom thought if I put him in this dump, he'll want to come home when school's over. It didn't work, man. I was a musician, and I learned to survive. But like I was saying earlier, I just spent the last 2 hours mired in a dream of poverty, mired in a dream of living in a place that's unsafe, with unsafe characters everywhere, you know, remnants of girlfriends past popping their heads in and stuff, and it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And now I come to realize why some people will be like, no, I'm not living here. I'm not living here. I always thought, yeah, it's not the greatest, but, you know, you go in, you lock your door. But here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. This kind of living conditions and seeing this kind of lifestyle and seeing the horrors of it, now that I'm, you know, older and I'm not in those kind of living conditions, and I'm, you know, trying to build a channel and all that here on YouTube, I wake up, you know, in a sweat. I wake up in a sweat from these dreams, right? And I imagine this dream. And here's the thing. A lot of times these dreams, these fictional places that are similar to places that I lived in, they're repetitive. I have these repetitive dreams that I'm in this same apartment building, and it's some kind of dream hell, because I'm once again back in this same place, and it's like a purgatory. It's like a musician's purgatory, because I'll have these dreams where, you know, things didn't work out, and you know, I'm broke, and well, I guess I'm gonna have to go back and live in this purgatory, this musician's purgatory. And in the musician's purgatory, there are dealers everywhere. There are people sleeping outside your door on the hallway bench or hallway couch that you would have in some of these older apartment buildings. And you'd look out your peephole and you'd see all the people congregating outside your door. And then you realize you've got a door that's it's not very sturdy, it's not very solid, and it's difficult to lock. And then you're sleeping with one eye open. You're sleeping with some kind of protection device next to your pillow. And all the while, you're maybe reaching out and calling people from your past and going, hey, I'm back, and I'm living at this place, and they never return your call. This is the stuff of nightmares, right? Now, when I think about, a lot of people like to hear about the shock house on this channel, the home of the band that I lived with in, the Sunset Strip era, and in Los Angeles, out in Van Nuys, out in the valley. A lot of people like to hear about that, and I'll occasionally have dreams about that place. But that place and some of the crappy apartments I've lived in over the years, some of the things I've seen, some of the people I've known, those kind of things recycle themselves in your brain. And you end up, dreaming and reliving some of that stuff. And today, this morning, I woke up and it was harrowing, because that feeling of being unsafe, that feeling of, man, I'm gonna lose all my guitars, man. Somebody's gonna break in. This door barely locks. I'm not even sure if it does lock. And there you are, you're in this crappy environment. And here's the thing, man. When you're in a crappy environment like that, your neighbors and the people that you're surrounded with and the people that you attract are on the bottom tier, man. It's very hard to get off that bottom tier and get into a better rung of society, right? The top tier musicians don't want to come hang out with you in your crappy apartment in the bad neighborhood. And I remember in the past, I've had musicians that would come and visit me. You say, hey man, I need to swing by your place and drop off your money for the gig, or hey man, I need to borrow the pedal. And they come by and they come by and they're like, oh man, this is rough. They were shocked. Younger musicians were shocked that somebody who they thought was playing with great musicians and somebody that was, had played a lot of gigs and had been in the music business for a lot of years, was still living in a dump. Now, again, I'm very fortunate now to be out of that lifestyle. I'm very fortunate now that, at one time when I lived in one of those dumps, I had one guitar and one amplifier, one cable, no pedals, and a tuner that you had to unplug from the amp, plug into the tuner, and tune, and then plug back in. So I'm thankful that I escaped from poverty, right? It's not easy to do. And that mindset that you get in when you're in that world, the fear of that world, the reality of that world, it never leaves you. It's always in the back of your mind, lingering, right? Lingering in the nightmares that you wake up from, lingering in the thoughts of your mind, and it's all somehow tied in to people that you knew in your past. And all of a sudden you're in a dream and you're back in poverty. You're back in a crappy apartment. You're back with a crappy rotary dial phone, and you're desperately trying to reach out to people that you know in that area so that you can try and get out of that, so that you can try to find a friend among the poverty. And look, man, here's the other thing. When you're on the bottom rung of society, your friends come around a lot less. Your friends don't seem to answer your phone calls as much. It's a very difficult place to be, and you've got to pull yourself out of it. If you're in there now, if you're a musician and you're struggling, man, do what you got to do to get out, man. Do what you got to do to get out, because if you're younger and you're going through that, man, try and get yourself out of it and stay out of it. Stay out of it. Because here's the deal. Be an old guy like me, and it doesn't matter where you're living or how good your life is. Your nightmares will take you back. Your nightmares will take you back into an apartment with drug deals going on outside the door, with people flopping in the hallways, with doors that don't lock very good, and less than stellar living accommodations, walls with cracks in it. And it's a nightmare that you can't escape. And your things that you've survived in your past, they seem to manifest themselves in more horrific conditions, nightmares. Man, waking up from that dream today, that nightmare, the nightmare of poverty, man. And I know a lot of us can relate to it, man. We wake up from it. Let me know in the comments, some of you older guys who've had to tough it out, man, in the music business. Let me know if you have a similar thing. Maybe it's just me, right? I don't know, man. But, I hope to never have to go there. But I tell my wife every day, we're doing good, but we're on that treadmill of gotta hustle to try to stay where we are, to stay living good, right? I don't want my child to have to go through what I had to go through, as a young adult. I don't want her to ever have to experience that. But I tell my wife, look, I know how to survive with very little. I may have a lot now, but I know how to get by with nothing. I know how to survive in bad areas. I know how to survive in bad neighborhoods. I know how to deal in situations like that. I learned how to find comfort in very uncomfortable situations and places. That's a skill among itself. How to blot out the horrors of the place that you're living in and try to find comfort and try to be able to get rest and survive. It's not an easy thing. And I just hope that if you're out there and you're going through the same thing, that you can get out of it. I'm hoping that you can find some comfort. And even if you are having to live in very Spartan living conditions, I hope that you can find your way out, find some comfort, and stay there. Because, man, I keep having dreams of having to go back to places that I would never want anyone else to have to experience. And it's like a nightmare hell. Nightmare hell of sketchy people, sketchy places, dirty accommodations, questionable people, right? And it's something I wouldn't want anybody to experience, because it is truly a nightmare.